What's up? Because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Danny KJ Green. Welcome you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming up in this edition, let's talk hoops. I'm not talking speculation. I'm talking about who will be the MVP, whether it be Giannis or LeBron James. But I'm building arguments for both. Will the NFL start on time? Ideas for that we might not even have in the 2020 NFL season. Have those topics? Hoodwood Hot 5. Got that head slap and a plethora of information, ideas, sports hits. You name it, we got it. It's Sports from the Hoodwood. Fasten your seatbelts, buckle your chin strap, and let's go.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, unfiltered commentary and insight on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's Hoodwood's hometown hero, KJ Green.
Greetings from the Hoodwood, where the locals are excited as all can be because sports may actually be back. I'm the one that's most enthusiastic of them all. I'm your man, KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of the Hoodwood. Let's lead off with NBA, and the NBA getting set to tip off next week with a bunch of exhibition games being played as we speak. Boy, it was good to see. And I don't really care them in the bubble. You don't hear the crowd. But it was good to see teams playing one another, actually getting into it and playing basketball. So refreshing to see. And don't take me the wrong way. I like the basketball tournament. It was good. It was good to see. But nothing beats pro basketball, except for college basketball. And I pray that they come back sometime in the winter. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the NBA. And the two teams that are getting the most focus are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Lakers, which when I saw this statistic, was really, really surprised. The Lakers haven't been in the playoffs in 7 years. The longest dry spell for this franchise ever missing the playoffs. But with LeBron James and Anthony Davis leading their motley bunch, they are the best team in the West right now with a 49-14 record, and they have already clinched playoff spot, and they are worried about if they're going to play in the playoffs. They're just worried about who they're going to play, which more than likely could be someone like Memphis or Portland. The Pelicans are still trying to scramble up there, but the Lakers are the top seed in the West, and more or less will be able to clinch that with another couple of wins down in Orlando. In the Eastern Conference, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, who have been basically running roughshod over everybody in the East until this enforced stoppage of play in March. And the question begs itself, who is going to be named most valuable player? Now, there are some people who don't put a lot of stock in the most valuable player award anymore. It used to be one of those things where the most valuable player was the best player, the alpha dog of the NBA. But now it's kind of, who's having that outstanding season, whether it be Russell Westbrook having his triple-double season a couple years ago, James Harden just shooting out the lights, Steph Curry being one of the most prolific three-point shooters the game has ever seen. Now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's not if you can't pronounce the last name. It took me forever to get used to saying it. But Giannis is the defending most valuable player, rightfully winning it last year with his dominating season with the Milwaukee Bucks. The question is, will he defend his most valuable player title with LeBron James at 35 years young, coming on as about as strong as a player has? Now, LeBron has won the most valuable player award 4 times and is looking to be the first player in NBA history to win the most valuable player award with 3. Count them, 3 different teams. He's won them in Cleveland, won them in Miami, and now in his second year in Los Angeles, with how pretty much a full season under his belt, looks to win a 3rd. But then there's always that question of fatigue. When a player wins the Most Valuable Player award multiple times, especially if they win it multiple times in a row, you get that kind of, him again. Yeah, he's doing good, but let's find somebody else. And it's happened in different years. I mean, look at the years in the 90s where Michael Jordan was, without question, the best player in the NBA. And had he not taken his year sabbatical suspension, he would have more likely could have realistically won the Most Valuable Player in the NBA 8 straight years. He only won it 6 times. But you have years where Charles Barkley won it 93. He had a dominant season, and the Suns won 62 games that year, and I think without Charles Barkley, the Suns are a decent team. Charles Barkley had, energized in a trade from Philadelphia, just coming off of an Olympic gold medal season, and was basically wanting to be the alpha dog. Well, of course, everybody knows Michael Jordan would see that and just use it as fuel to drive to a 3rd straight NBA title. But that year, I think Charles Barkley deserved the Most Valuable Player. Now, fast forward 4 years, 1997. The Bulls, coming off of a dominant season where they had won everything, won 72 games. Michael Jordan won the Most Valuable Player in 96. The next year, the Utah Jazz finally got over the hump. They were just that kind of like how you would describe Luther Vandross's curl back in the day. That just not quite right. And the Jazz were good, but they finally go over the top. And finally, Karl Malone had a dominant. I mean, he was always dominant, but he finally had that great season, and he won the Most Valuable Player award. And maybe we thought, he was alright, but there was Jordan fatigue, and people were just like, we have to give it to Jordan again. Hey, there's Karl Malone. Let's give it to him. And of course, what did Jordan do? Use as fuel as to beat the Jazz's brains in the NBA Finals. That all being said, are we going to have LeBron fatigue, even though he has won the Most Valuable Player award in 5 years? Giannis Antetokounmpo is having a dominating season. LeBron James is having a dominant season as well, but he's had help. Without Antetokounmpo, the Bucks are a lottery team. Without LeBron James, the Lakers are, they're decent. I don't think that they would be as dominant as they are. I don't think they've won 49 games so far, but I do think that they would be a playoff team. I think they have enough of the tools and talent to get them there. My choice for MVP is Giannis. I think he is having a well-rounded, transcendent season, much like he did last year. Now, if LeBron wins the MVP, would I say, oh, that's a travesty? No, LeBron is having a great season himself. But I still say take the player off of that team and see how that team is. When you took Russell Westbrook off of the Thunder back in the day when he won his MVP, that team would have been a lottery team without Russell Westbrook. He dragged him kicking and screaming into the playoffs. Steph Curry, look at how the Warriors are right now without Steph Curry. They are a lottery team. I rest my case. Let's take the first time out, come back, look at NFL. Are we in danger of losing the 2020 season? What comes back at you?
Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand, your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and I know that we had said in the previous segment that we were going to talk about the NFL possibly not playing in the 2020 season, but we will stop the presses because baseball is on deck. And yeah, I know baseball we've been waiting for it for almost 4 months, but there are new and exciting developments that just hit the Hoodwood not too long ago since we started taping, and I decided we want to share it with us. We'll break with the original format, what we're going to talk about that at a later date. But we need to talk about baseball and the expanded playoff format, just ratified by Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association, a 1-year expansion of the playoffs. So instead of 10 teams getting in, the 3 divisional winners and 2 wild cards, you will now have all 3 divisional winners get in, the 3 second place teams get in, and then the 7th and 8th place teams will be determined by the best 3rd place teams, or the 7th and 8th best records in Major League Baseball. So it could very well possibly be that teams 7 and 8 could come out of the same division. You could have as many as 4 teams in one division make the Major League Baseball Major League Baseball playoffs this year. Now, the playoffs, as they will stand, the first round will be a best of 3, all 3 games to be played at the higher seeded team's home ballpark. And then the divisional series will be best of 5, and then the league championships and the World Series will be best of 7. So that means a team will now have to win 2 in the first round, 3 in the divisional round, and then 4 each in the league championships and World Series. So they could need to win as many, or could play as many, as my quick UC math is going, 22 extra games. If every one of the World Series or winning or losing team goes the full distance in every one of their series, they could play as many as 22 extra games in the postseason. That is something that I like. I mean, I don't want to see the playoffs be cheap, but in the unique circumstances that we're facing now, I think a little bit more of an allowance. The shorter schedule, a little bit more leeway. Now, a team has to win, say an 8-seeded team has to win a number of games on the road, and then still, like I said, move on through the divisional series, the league championship series, and then the World Series, if they get that far. Now, one of the other really unique things about this postseason tournament is that the teams 1 through 3, the divisional winners, get to pick who they want to play in the first round. Now, a few weeks ago, when we were kicking around ideas, I thought that was one of the most brilliant ideas to cause controversy. Number 1 seed, they want that 8-seeded team. Oh yeah, we want the 8-seeded team because we feel our matchup. Or maybe they pick the 7-seeded team because they feel like they've beaten up on that team. And you could just see my beloved Twins being a 2nd seed and going, anybody but the Yankees. We don't want the Yankees in the first round. Give us somebody else. We don't want the Yankees. I could just see a team like the Twins saying, we got home field advantage. We're going to have at most 3 games at home. We want Chicago. Well, we want the Devil Rays. We want somebody other than the Yankees. Now, that might backfire. You might have a team that say, oh, you think we're a pushover, and then end up beating them. But you have a little bit of debate. Why did this team pick this team? What was the rationale in thinking of that? And that's going to be a made-for-TV event after the last day of the season. You pick your teams, boom, right into the playoffs. Let's go. I like it. I like the setup. I like the scenario. I like the way this could be. This could cause a lot of controversy, but it's going to cause a lot of talk. And it's going to put Major League Baseball back near the forefront come October. Now let's hope we get through the season with no blues or blunders, and then we can play an entire 60-game season, which starts on Thursday night. Let's take our second time out, come back with the Hoodwood Hot 5, as well as Phat, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. Sports from the Hoodwood continues after this. Hi everyone, I'm KJ Green. If you're looking to reach a broad audience for your advertising dollar, look no further than where you are right now. You can advertise right here in the Hoodwood. If you need spots created as well, Black Banner Productions Enterprises can create commercial content that drives sales and gets results. You can send your inquiries to ads at blackbannerproductions.com. Black Banner Productions and Enterprises. Sounds, ideas, and images of the 21st century.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's premier location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinion on the world of sports. Here now, the man with 100% certified fresh taste, your host, KJ Green.
You are my name is KJ Green. Welcome back. And this is a segment where we look at 5 of the hottest subjects, or at least in my opinion, in the sports world this week. It's called the Hoodwood Hot 5. Our first subject is Mookie. Mookie got paid. The Los Angeles Dodgers signed the right fielder that they had just acquired from the Boston Red Sox and signed. They had 1 year and $27 million on his current deal, which is set to expire after this year. Many people thought the Dodgers were just renting Mookie for a erstwhile title run, have now put all that speculation to bed. They have signed their outfielder to a 12-year, $365 million extension. Now, with the 1 year, $27 million contract that he's already in, that means that Mookie Betts will be with the Dodgers in Chavez Ravine for the foreseeable future. $392 million over the next 13 years. He should learn to hit that curveball. Mookie Betts basically has become one of the highest paid players in Major League Baseball. Second only with Mike Trout for the crosstown Los Angeles Angels. But Mookie Betts, many people feel, is a better investment. That at 27 years old, that he is just coming into the peak of his career and having already won a most valuable player with the Boston Red Sox, that would be a valuable commodity for the Los Angeles Dodgers going forward. I like Mookie Betts. I think he's a good player. But 13 years? Wow. That's just crazy money. And then you look at the players that are above the $300 million mark: Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, of course, and the aforementioned Mike Trout, and now Mookie Betts. You're wondering, are these teams playing bet at all with one player at the detriment of other big-name players? I remember when Joey Votto signed a $214 million contract, and people are like, oh my goodness, somebody go over $200 million. Now that's pocket change. Our third topic here in the Hoodwood Hot 5. I didn't know that the Timberwolves were up for sale. I don't have a couple $100 million. I don't think Snuffy has that kind of money either. Else we would try to buy the Timberwolves. But there are a couple of suitors for the Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor having owned the team since 1994. You're looking to put the team up for sale north of $1.2 billion. Yeah, that's money I really have. But the two main suitors for the Timberwolves may very well be very well local and very well known to Timberwolves fans. Kevin Garnett may lead a conglomerate of buyers to buy the team, and also looking to throw their bid in is Ziggy Wilf, who is right now currently owner of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Timberwolves have basically been on the playoff fringes for the last 10 to 12 years. They've been kind of an outlier. They've just been out there. They haven't played very well. Not since Kevin Garnett left the team in 2006 has the team really been in any kind of contention. They've only made the playoffs one time. You would think if Kevin Garnett led a group of owners that he would instill some sort of discipline, esprit de corps, standards to bring the Timberwolves back to playoff contention. I would also think that the Will family would also do that. One can only hope, and one can only keep their fingers crossed. Our fourth topic in the Hoodwood Hot 5 has to do with a school that you will rarely, if ever, hear me talk about here in the Hoodwood, because it's a school I'm not particularly fond of, University of Kentucky. But going beyond what Princess Jazzy's uncle Matt likes to talk about, his beloved University of Kentucky, I have no real use for them, being a University of Cincinnati alumni. But the speculation that the arena, the basketball arena, the famed Rupp Arena, may be undergoing a name change, at least if it's brought to bear by the University of Kentucky faculty from its African American and Africana Studies programs at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. If they have their way, they may have that name of that arena changed. Now, there are many people who speculate that Adolph Rupp, longtime Kentucky head basketball coach, was a racist. Now, Adolph Rupp was the last coach to field an all-white starting five in an NCAA championship game, with one that his team, the University of Kentucky, lost to Texas Western, now UTEP. The story that was made famous by the movie Glory Road. Now, many people are saying that the arena for the coach, who was coach of the Wildcats to 1972 and passed away in 1976, may be renamed and should be renamed. Me, myself, I never thought that the arena should have been named after Rupp to begin with. I don't like Rupp. I thought Rupp was a racist. Adolph Rupp did not sign a player of color until 1970, and only because he had been brought so much pressure on him to recruit and to play a African American player. Now, me myself, knowing the history, the long history of basketball in Kentucky, it's something to think about. Should they change it? I think they should. Topic number 4, why does Notre Dame think they're special? I understand that they're an independent team in football and they have their own network. And yes, I don't like Notre Dame. I've never made any secret of that. But Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick is basically going around saying, we're going to play a schedule. There's going to be 8 to 10 games. We'll do that. Everybody wants to see Notre Dame. Notre Dame isn't really relevant. Notre Dame plays who they want to play, as their one, but they're also in the ACC. Technically, for all other sports, they're in the ACC, and they play an ACC-light schedule. They play 3 or 4 teams, sometimes up to 6, in the ACC. I'm thinking that they need to be in a conference. They need to play games in a conference, like their other sporting brethren do. Why does Notre Dame think they're special? Because they make so much money, because they have a network, because they have a Subway alumni. I don't understand why Notre Dame thinks they're special. I don't think Notre Dame's special. Notre Dame has been relative in football. I should say relative. I say relative. Notre Dame hasn't been relevant in football in years. Yeah, I know. They made the national championship a few years back and got their backs blown out by Alabama. Spare me, okay? I don't want to hear it. Notre Dame needs to be in a conference. They need to be in the ACC, period. If they're going to be in the conference. They were going to be in the Big Ten years ago, but they turned it down. Big Ten invited them. They're like, no, we don't want y'all. We don't want to be in the conference. Now they need to schedule, and they may be hurting for it. I just know they didn't think they're special. I don't know. Our fifth topic, MLS is back, and their tournament is getting down to the knockout stage, but there are a couple teams that are going to be missing from the knockout stage because of their poor play. Atlanta United and DC United have already been eliminated. Sit home, especially after last week with Atlanta United falling flat on their face to FCC, Football Club Cincinnati, my beloved orange and blue, and DC United scoring one goal, in their 3 games. Two teams that had high hopes for getting deep into the MLS is back tournament fell flat on their face. Sit packing. Just a shame. Let's take our final timeout. Come back with Phat, Head Slap, and the final word from me. When it's down the home stretch, this.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest insight, thorough analysis, and unfiltered opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
Riding third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green. Let's finish up strong with Phat, Head Slap, and the final word from the wood. This week's Phat goes to Cincinnati Reds' Joey Votto, who has basically walked and talked the talk. He came out with a very vocal support of Black Lives Matter, wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt during the Reds summer camp down at the American Ballpark in Cincinnati. And before the Reds' first preseason game, summer camp exhibition game with the Detroit Tigers, knelt before the national anthem. Now, of course, Cincinnati being a very conservative town as it is, there were a lot of insults to Votto on his Facebook page. But there was a lot of praise. A lot of people saying ways to back up your words with actions and deeds. Also, a fact that will also go to the San Francisco Giants general manager Gabe Kapler, who basically was very vocal in his support of players if they wish to kneel, the San Francisco Giants, if they knelt. Now, of course, that man in the White House has said that he will turn off the game if he sees anyone kneel. It's like, it just turned him off. Bye. Nobody needs you. But I say that to Bo Votto for standing up for actually kneeling for what he believes in, and Kapler for backing his team for their choice of protest, if they choose to protest. Staying in that same vein, our Head Slap of the Week goes to one Kelly Loeffler. Now, I know I already hit up on her for her lack of support of Black Lives Matter, but she has doubled down, saying that if the team continues to support Black Lives Matter, it would, quote unquote, drive people away, which I think is the exact opposite. I think that the Black Lives Matter movement is very inclusive, and that Loeffler, who is, I think, pandering toward her conservative base, because she is a senator from the state of Georgia, I think Loeffler is doing nothing but trying to pander to her base, trying to play up for votes, because she is up for re-election in a special election in November. Head slap to Loeffler. Clueless, tone deaf, and digging in on the wrong side. And now, without much further ado, let's finish up with the final word from the Wood. Major League Baseball is back, and not a moment too soon, with the Yankees and Nationals and Dodgers and Giants taking the field on Thursday. The long-awaited arrival of the Boys of Summer has finally occurred. All the teams are in play, including the Houston Astros, a team that more or less is wearing a scarlet letter of a cheater. Now, the Houston Astros story has been well documented, with the Astros making 3 consecutive AL Championship Series, winning the World Series in 2017, and finishing runner-up to the Washington Nationals last season. But many people feel that their success has been tainted. A sign-stealing scandal rocked not only the Houston Astros, but Major League Baseball. The punishment was severe and swift. General Manager Jeff Luhnow and Field Manager A.J. Hinch were both subsequently dismissed from their positions, even though Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred had said and initially cleared Crane of any wrongdoing. The Houston Astros still dismissed the successful field manager of the Astros, saying that they had higher integrity for the city and for the team. Also losing their job was Boston Red Sox manager Alex Cora, who was a bench coach for the Astros in the 2017 World Championship season. Also losing his job before even managing a game was Carlos Beltran as manager of the New York Mets. Beltran, who was a player for the Astros in 2017, was dismissed by the Mets after being hired by this team in November. The Astros basically have been marked as a team of cheaters, whether fairly or unfairly. But as the 2020 season gets underway with empty stands, will the Astros more or less get a free pass from booing fans? Many people think the Astros will basically go under the radar because of the empty stadiums in Major League Baseball. And Commissioner Rob Manfred has also warned pitchers not to throw retaliatory pitches at Astros. Pitchers going inside and hitting them will be meted out with a swifter justice. And teams with the shorter schedule can ill afford to have any of their players suspended for any kind of high and tight pitching. So the Astros will more than less not get any justice meted out to them from retaliatory pitches or booing fans. They will be able to play their 2020 season in a quiet shame. But will they be shameful? Or will they just shrug their shoulders and go about their business, thinking that while they did not totally get away with it, they will not be punished in the court of public opinion? Many people don't even think about that much about the Astros now and what they've done. They're just happy to see baseball back on the field. I, for one, want the Astros to be even more severely punished. Taking away their world championship is unrealistic, but there should be some sort of mark, an asterisk, if you will, on their title, on their divisional wins, on their appearances in the World Series and ALCS. Mark with an asterisk, the scarlet letter. This team was a team of cheaters. They achieved their wins by means most foul. They should have to live with this stigma and shame longer than just for a high and tight pitch or a few seconds of booing. That stigma should follow them around for just a little longer than that. And that is the final word from the Wood. With the music coming on in the background, you know that means your time in the Hoodwood is just about over, and I thank you so much for your visit again this week. And if you want to send me an email, the email for the show is kjgreen@blackbanditproductions.com. Send me emails with show topics, questions, comments, and criticism. And correspondence and try to respond to each email as quickly as possible. You can catch this podcast on a number of sites, including Amazon Prime, where the version is hosted. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, whatever you find your better audio and video podcast. Look for us everywhere. The show site itself is hoodwoodsports.podbean.com. There's the show back catalog as well as music soundtrack, the Hustle, and the audio version of the show. Order the Hustle on the site. I'm also on Facebook at Black Band Productions Enterprise. I'm also on Twitter. As always, to rate pictures for the executive production of the show, and that is exactly. Until next time out in the Hoodwood, I'm KJ Green, 30.
Sports from the Hoodwood
Is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation.
of a 551 Audio and Films production.